lovely way to spend an afternoon. Thank you very much, the boys from Dodo, for inviting me, and thank you very much, everybody, and Judy May as well. The Poetry Book and Magazine Fair's on this weekend, if you haven't heard of it. There's some flyers over there. The Poetry Society, who pay my wages, are probably looking at me now, hoping that I'm saying this. Go to the Poetry Book Fair on Saturday. There's not all the publishers will be there, and there's loads of poetry readings, and it's poetry-tastic. So, since we're in a pub, a couple of boozy poems. Tommy Cooper was an alcoholic. I didn't know that when I was a child, laughing at him, but when he was on TV, and he died on stage, actually died, rather than he was a comedian who died on stage. But the audience had no idea and just thought it was part of the act, and laughed a lot. And the doctor says, so he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, haven't seen you for a while. And he says to the doctor, sorry, I've been ill. And the doctor says, stick out your tongue and stand by the window. And he says to the doctor, why? And the doctor says, I hate my neighbours. And the doctor says, say ah. And he says to the doctor, what for? And the doctor says, my dog is unwell. And he says to the doctor, I'm on a diet of whiskey and I've lost 3 weeks already. And he says to the doctor, I used to drink it neat, but now I loosen my tie and let my shirt flap from my trousers. And the doctor says, you have to quit, your heart is weak. And he says to the doctor, I want a second opinion. And the doctor says, okay, you're ugly as well. And days later, only halfway through his set, the doctor says he's D-E-A-D, pronounced dead. And they had to close the, what are they called? Those long drapey things that hang from a rail. Well, for him, it was curtains. And then the crowd clapped, and then they howled out for more, and then they all stopped. Just like that. So, slightly lost in admin. This next poem is also boozy. It's a love poem of sorts. The Wake. Saw just now a picture in the paper someone has thrown on the floor in the square. They've given her a different name, and a mother who is only 44. If asked to put an age on her, I'd have stabbed at 50 something or other. First time I thought, I've clocked her in colour. Here's to the offie, the boozer and the bar. She would show me the stars, the Big Dipper, Cassiopeia, would go on about how constant they are, etc. Here's to the moon, and the sun, and the cider. She would cry a lot, had a great big scar on her shoulder, a black eye bruise under her breast. Let me run a finger slowly over one and once the other. And here's to the rise and the fall of the shutters. Last night, for what feels like 36 hours, they blocked me from walking to the river and the underpass they built to keep us warm. Another drink, I may remember more. So I was doing lots of work poems earlier, and this is the children's version of work, School. Kissing. Or school features a bit. Kissing. We'd watch them on TV, the middle classes, on comedies and dramas, or anything with wine, the wearing of suits. For no apparent reason, they'd be kissing all the time. Hellos and goodbyes, lunches and dinners, parents kissing children, the children kissing back, as though they hadn't met in donkey's years, when mainly it was less than half an hour. they'd kiss more than they'd speak to one another. Not us. Christmas, birthdays, and my first day at school, my cheek would stay untouched. The only time I tried was when I launched myself to college. A peck, a reminder, should she need, that I'd be absent for a bit. Nothing was said, but her quick look at my father meant, see how he's changed. This goes out to anyone who's ever played Joseph in the Nativity.
Yes, I have.
Good, so have I.
Hey,
we should have badges. After I'd been chosen as the leading man, that almost father of the only Son of God, Mother found a robe that would cover up my clothes, apart from pyjama legs poking out the bottom, a towel for my head fastened with a pin, and a beard on a card stuck to a lolly stick. She said, think of the Nativity without him. How could young Mary ever manage on her own? The real me could never talk to girls, a boy who wouldn't stand out from the crowd. But here was Joseph, holding hands with Mary, wise men and angels kneeling at his feet, parents of the other children standing to applaud, my mother in the middle of them all. So, back at school again, there was a school bully, and unfortunately he was also the PE teacher. And this is called Danny the Dap, and I don't know if in other parts of the UK dap is a thing people say, but in Wales a dap was like a training shoe or even a rugby boot, but it's, you know, plimsoll.
Yeah, we used to pair of daps.
Yeah, we had a pair of daps.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Kent.
Yeah, that destroys my theory that I'd be in a Western country. Danny the Dap. So remember his name because it comes up a bit later. When I think of school, I think of the assembly hall that doubled as a gym on Wednesday afternoons, in a time when smacking children was part of the curriculum. He stuck me in the team who struggled on the vaulting horse, the climbing frame and trampoline. The more I'd fail, the more he'd shout my name, and his saying of it meant I kept on failing. Muck Crane, without the silent C or G, as though he thought to punish me with mispronunciation, to emphasise the difference, to separate me out from Williamses and Thomases, Joneses, Hughes and Evanses, the proper Welsh. I gave in, for how could I be failing if I wasn't really trying to succeed? We were laughed at by the stronger boys, but when I answered back, he sent me to the changing rooms to sob among the lockers, his nickname a warning of what was coming next. So I'll just finish on a couple of quick poems in there about not doing work. Semi-autobiographical, this first one, it's called Lazy. She used to be the one who planned, who paid for all the trips they took, who made a list of everything, who packed the bags, including his, who got them there and back again. Until they went away last week, a cottage on the Norfolk coast. And in the car she made it clear that most of this he could have done, or put an effort in, at least. Hand out of hand, beside the lake, she whispered, look, I have to leave. And in the pub, his pals agree that living with a woman is a big responsibility. I forgot that one ended in a pub, I could have used it. So I'll finish with another lazy poem, When I Was God. And on the seventh day I rested, A pity, really, that I'd also rested on days 1 to 6. Just think how much I could have achieved, I thought to myself, alone, in the dark, with no one invented yet. Thank you.
Well, I think if proof was needed that poetry is a great thing to beat back the darkness in our lives, this afternoon has proved that. It's been an absolutely wonderful afternoon. I'm just going to read out the names of all the open mic poets who've read, and if you give them a round of applause, then I'll ask for your appreciation for our featured poets. So we've had Patrick Cunane, Kieran Buckley, Mika Hayder, Kate B. Hall, Jackie Blumler, Max Fischel, P.R. Murray, Lee Yan, Angelina Damaria, Christine Eales, Paul Gander, and Rachel Sandbrook.
Yeah.
Now, wonderful featured poets who I think have complemented each other brilliantly this afternoon's readings. Judy May.
Yeah.
Paul McGrane. Just a couple of quick announcements, if I can remind you of that. Also, the bookstall is still open, and my collection is there as well as all the others. And the next Dodo will be on the 25th of October here, Thursday at 3 p.m. And, oh, if you want us to keep in touch with you, just to remind you, you can put your email on a form at the desk. So thank you. We have been Dodo Modern Poets. Welcome to autumn.